So, Rubik's has their own Bluetooth 3x3 now, and it's actually pretty good. I've been testing it for a few weeks now, and I think it's definitely one of the best Bluetooth 3x3s on the market today. I'd say that the Rubik's Connected 3x3 is the smartest release Rubik's has had in a while. Literally. So yes, this cube is a smart cube, but that's not the only reason why I say it's a smart release. I say that because I think it was a good decision by Rubik's. Their recent speed cubes have no doubt been improving, but let's be honest, no one's using them in WCA competitions. Most people are using cubes from companies who have been perfecting their speed cubes for years and years and years, so it makes sense that they would have better performance than the new Rubik's products. That said, while all these manufacturers are making amazing speed cubes, very few of them are focused on the smart cube market. It's still a developing technology, and I think it was a great decision by Rubik's to jump on that train. So with their first smart cube, Rubik's released the Rubik's Connected 3x3. As with any new technology, there's a lot of flaws, but I think the amount of pros greatly outweigh the cons. However, let's take a look at the issues first. The only smart cube that I've had extensive experience testing before is the GAN I. This cube has a gyroscope in it, whereas the Rubik's Connected 3x3 does not. And I gotta say, it is a feature that I miss. Now, the lack of a gyroscope can definitely lead to some benefits, such as longer battery life, but it also has some drawbacks in terms of the reconstruction of the solve. So on your phone, you have an app to connect the 3x3 to, and the app will reconstruct and track the moves of each of your solves. The lack of a gyroscope means that all the reconstructions are written from white top, green front, and so you have awkward reconstruction algs, like your cross might be B, D2, F prime, R, whereas, you did completely different finger tricks from a different orientation, because it doesn't know what orientation you're holding the cube from. The gyroscope definitely is not a necessary feature, because it still reconstructs the solve accurately, but to me, it just it feels like it's missing something. Now, this problem also leads to some other, random statistical problems. So the Rubik's Connected Cube gives you a ton of statistics about each of your individual solves, and I love that. But when you scroll down to the bottom and you see this statistic for rotation frequency, it's useless to me. Oftentimes it'll say I've done a lot of B moves in my solves. Well, I never do B moves because those are awkward to finger trick. I rarely ever do B moves, but all that means is I turn the blue side a lot, because the blue is on the back when you have white top, green front. Granted, the other statistics are pretty fun to look at because it can break your solves down in the steps of your method, but some of the statistics are a lot more useful than others. The reconstruction interface is also really hard to use for me, and I struggle to understand how to read it at first. So yes, it does reconstruct your solve, but it doesn't write it all out straight through. And so if you want to reconstruct your solve, you have to go into the individual solve statistic and then click on a tiny little piece of your solve. So you click on the cross reconstruction. Where does it go? Oh, you have to scroll up to read it. It's really confusing, and it doesn't make sense why they made it that way. And the buttons are so small to click. I feel like that would be really difficult to click on for some people. At first I thought, why doesn't it just write out the entire solve? It's only 40, 50, 60 moves sometimes. It's not that long. But then it occurred to me, well, if you're a beginner and you're using, 120, 150, maybe even 200 moves per solve, then it makes sense to not write it out. It could be cool if they say, well, if it's under 80 moves, it would write out the whole solution, so you could just read straight through it and not have to click on the individual steps. Just a suggestion. One thing this cube does a lot better than the GAN one did was the calibration of the cube. I got so many DNFs on the GAN cube because it said it was scrambled on screen when it was actually solved in real life. This has happened once on the Rubik's Connected Cube. Only once. So it is very rare for that to happen, but it can happen. Also, something that this cube doesn't do that the GAN cube did was basically know what state the cube is in. If you have a scramble where you have two opposite moves back to back, so a U and a D, if you do them in the opposite order, the D and then the U, it'll say, no, undo it, D prime, U prime, now do a U, now do a D. I solved it correctly, I'm in the right state, but it says, no, undo it, you did it in the wrong order. If that happens to you during a multiplayer match, it kicks you out and you lose. Now, if you're accurate with your scrambling, it's not a big deal, but I've had it happen so much, maybe I'm just really inaccurate, but it really annoys me. Because in the GAN cube, you have like a scrambled state that it's trying to get you to, and if you do different moves along the way, it'll just reroute you, and you'll get there in the end. It doesn't kick you out. I feel like the Rubik's Connected app should be able to do that, but it doesn't. Those are the big things that annoy me. The rest of them are just a little bit smaller. I think the magnets are too strong, just in my opinion, and I also find that the cube is very heavy, so it's kind of hard to do a lot of solves because my hands kind of get tired from the strong magnets and the heavy turning. Now, get this. I've popped this cube many times, like 5 times. That shouldn't happen. Mostly it's just one edge falling kind of out of alignment, but obviously it messes up your solves. And so I went in to tension the cube, but silly me. Once I finally managed to pry off the insanely difficult center cap, I found that it was just a circuit board underneath the center cap and you can't actually tension it. So I guess I just need to be a bit more careful with my turning. So in addition to that, when you're doing online battles in the multiplayer mode, there's no replay button, so you have to click back to matches and then find another match, and it switches from portrait to landscape to portrait to landscape. It's a pain. Can I just hit play again? It's that easy. My final minor complaint is that the sticker quality is kind of bad. They're still using that type of sticker where it kind of peels around the edges and then you see that white bit underneath. It's really just not great. The shades aren't great to begin with. They're typical Rubik shades, they're just not that bright. I prefer more fluorescent shades that you'd see on a speed cube nowadays from other companies. But on the positive side, the Cubicle is selling replacement stickers and you can buy them in any shade you want. Alright, enough ranting about minor issues. Let's talk about the pros. Now the pros are big. So just in general, the app is great. One thing that I like about the app is that it can recognize what method you're using. So far I've only gotten it to recognize 3 methods. I'm not sure if it does more than 3, but I've gotten it to recognize layer by layer, roux, and CFOP. It's also extremely easy to pair this cube. That was something that I found was an issue with the GAN cube. You had to like shake it really hard and then maybe it would show up. This one, it just shows up instantly. I turn on the app, my cube pops up, I just tap it, it's paired. Piece of cake. The multiplayer system in the app works very well. Now, I've been playing on the multiplayer system not against any friend that I have in real life, but just against the random people that it matches me with. I don't know if they're actually people, they seem like bots to me. I've won every single race that I've had against a person that it's matched me with. I'm a bit suspicious about that, but at least there's always been someone online when I want to go and do a race online. They also have games in this app. The games are fun. I don't really play them. I played through a few of them. They have a music one where you can play piano on the Rubik's Cube. I prefer to play piano in real life, but if you want to play piano on the Rubik's Cube, you can do that. You can also play the drums, so it's kind of fun. The battery life on this cube also lasts an incredibly long time. My GAN Eye died all the time. And one of the things that's keeping the battery life, lasting a bit longer is the lack of a gyroscope. So that's one thing you're gaining by taking away the gyroscope. For some people, it's definitely worth it because the battery life is pretty crucial. Now, this is going to be one of the best things that I like about the Rubik's Connected 3x3, and that is the tutorial. I'm going to take a wild guess, and I'm going to say that most people buying this cube already know how to solve a Rubik's Cube. But on the off chance you don't, or you want to give it to your friend, or your parents, or anyone that doesn't know how to solve a cube, this is an amazing way to learn how to solve it, teach how to solve it. It just works so well. The thing that makes this tutorial so amazing is that it's adaptive. It's a smart cube. It knows exactly what piece is in what position. And so sometimes when you're watching a YouTube tutorial, they'll say, oh, find a corner in the top layer that has white on it. And you're like, oh, what if there isn't one? What do I do then? And if that tutorial doesn't tell you what to do, then you're kind of lost. But in this app, when I went through the tutorial, I had a case where I was solving the white side and my last corner was in the right position, but twisted incorrectly. And it said on the app, it looks like your last white corner is already in the right spot. You just need to apply the right hand algorithm until it's solved. And I was like, mind blown. It's genius. The tutorial itself obviously is just a beginner tutorial, but it's one of the easier ones to memorize, and it's nearly identical to the one that the Cubicle has on their YouTube channel. Speaking of the Cubicle's videos, they have instructional videos that go along with the tutorial that you can watch, so you can see a hands-on demonstration of the exact step. So now Phil, the CEO of the Cubicle, is the one that made the videos. And so coming from a speedcuber such as him, we know that they're going to be very good quality. One thing that you gotta watch out for though, you can't just speed through the tutorial because you have to click got it on every single stage. If you do the moves that you're supposed to do, but before you click got it, it'll just like tell you to undo them, click got it, and then you have to do them. Like, why? On the whole though, the tutorial is definitely one of my favorite features of a smart cube in general, and the Rubik's Connected Cube aced that feature. So that's it for the main pros and cons. I do have some suggestions for a future software update though. Doubt anyone from Rubik's is watching, but you never know. Since you already know how to track the methods, between LBL, RU, and CFOP, why not be able to sort your solves between methods? What if you're trying out a new method and you want to see all your RU solves together or all your CFOP solves together? I think that would be a cool statistical comparison. Also, since it knows what color is being solved where, I think it could be cool if it was able to track what cross color you're solving on. So if you're trying to be color neutral, you could compare, oh, it looks like I'm a bit better on red cross and I'm a bit worse on blue cross. And then I could practice blue cross a bit more. That could be a cool feature. Now, the amazing thing is that this is an app. It's all controlled by software, and Rubik's can push out software updates in the future to make the cube better. They've already released one big new feature since I downloaded the app, and that was the rescramble mode. It's where it gives you a scramble and you have to match a solved cube to a scramble. It's a very fun challenge, and I've been enjoying it. So, do I recommend this cube? Yeah, I do. Even coming in at $60, it's much cheaper than the Go Cube and the GAN i2. And most of GAN's normal 3x3s. If you don't need the gyroscope and you like the idea of online multiplayer battles, the Rubik's Connected is the way to go. I'd like to thank the Cubicle for sending me this new smart cube to review. If you'd like to buy one for yourself, there will be a link in the description so you can buy it from their store. Also, if you like saving money, remember you can get 5% off of all your orders from thecubicle.com by using the discount code LCC at checkout. So be sure to use that code. That's all for this review, and I hope you found it helpful. Thanks for watching.